The reason I picked your cello was because of this polar piezo pickup, and I wanted to ask you what inspired you to invent this, because you're talking about how we're talking about like traditional conservative musicians, and you're talking about this is a cello that was perfected 400 years ago. How can some guy come on the scene and then convince people like me and other people watching this, convince you that this is the best electrified version of that? So
certainly, I'm very proud, if that's the right word, for the instrument that we were able to offer, and it does have a lot of unique features. And the polar pickup is a big part of that. And I started out, this is kind of funny, I called it a bipolar pickup. And then people said, Ned, no, that's not going to work.
That's definitely a marketing no.
That's an issue there, right? But it is bipolar. So now, and, I don't think I'm bipolar, but the pickup is, okay? The NS design business now, which includes a violin, viola, cello, omni-bass, and double bass, all bowed electric instruments. I started with the bass. Most people would start with a violin because, after all, that's the front man is the violin player or whatever. The violins are by far a larger market, and they are what you would think of, as a string, a bowed string instrument. The first thing that comes to your mind is a violin. But I got started on the bass. I sold the Steinberger Sound Company to Gibson, and I became an employee of Gibson in the process. And I was very excited about that, about being able to work for a larger established company that had their own sales departments and production. And it was like a dream come true for me because, again, I was never inclined to be a businessman. It's always about my design work. And in fact, the contract that I had with Gibson specified explicitly that I was not going to be responsible for management. And in the real world, what happened is that some 3 years later, I realized I was very unhappy working for the Gibson Company. I needed to have more control over my work, to be able to do my thing, and I couldn't really do it within this corporate umbrella. So I went back on my own, and I needed to do something different. I was always excited about that long string. Suffice to say that a bass guitar is generally 34-inch scale length, and the standard 3/4 size double bass is 42-inch or 43 3/4 or whatever, 42 for convenience. So that's a whole different animal and was very exciting for me because I know that the harmonic structure of what any string can deliver, and we'll get back to this with the cello too, because it does relate to the cello. The longer the string, the more harmonic content it has. So I was just excited about working on a bass that had a 42-inch scale. I'm going, wow, there's so much possibility here. And I worked with Rob Wasserman, who, sad to say, is no longer with us, but he really understood what I was seeking to do. And the first upright basses that I made, I had custom-made round wound strings to put on them to bring out all that harmonic content. Flat wound strings do not have the same high harmonics that a round wound string can deliver. And then you put a round wound string on top of this longer scale length, and now you play that low E or low B, right, which nowadays with 5-string instruments we go down to B, and it would just ring out in a way you couldn't possibly do with 34-inch scale. I got involved in making this double bass. I got very excited about it, got a very good response from musicians. And I built, probably 20 or so kind of hand-built instruments. Back then I was still in New York State. I found somebody who was able to work with me and set this whole thing up in their garage, and we would make these instruments in very small quantities. But then it seemed like the demand for this was greater than anything we could begin to accommodate at that level. And that's when I started to work with the NBE company in the Czech Republic. And so that was really the beginning of this whole cycle. This was 20 plus years ago. And now we're making violins, violas, cellos, omni basses, which is an interesting product, and double basses. And it built the business up a step at a time. I didn't borrow any money. I just came to an agreement with the people in the Czech Republic. And at that point, Peter Vikidal, who was the owner and president of NVE Company, he was working out of his garage initially. But that's a long time ago. He now has like 80 employees and a big factory, and he's very, very successful because he builds beautiful instruments, and it certainly worked out very well for us. And of course, we were very in close contact. We do our own quality control on all the instruments that we ship out. So it's a very positive relationship.